Labor Minister shut down by GMB's Kate Garraway as migrant row explodes. Deanna Johnson appeared on Good Morning Britain, where Sure was challenged about the latest migration figures. Minister of State for Policing, Fire and Crime Prevention, Diana Johnson, found herself challenged by Good Morning Britain's Kate Garraway as she tried to skirt around a question about the huge migrant figures and the increase in the numbers on universal credit. "It's a failure record, isn't it this?" Garraway put to her. "Well, look, we've been in power 1 year. We know we've got a major problem with the small boats. The last government had 6 years to fix it," Johnson said as Garraway interjected to move the subject back, saying, "We're talking about that 1 year and things are getting worse, not better," she challenged. "This is not the headline we want," Johnson acknowledged. "Absolutely, I accept that, and that's why we have a whole range of measures that we're introducing to actually tackle the gangs who are behind the smuggling of people in those boats. And just to say again, this has been going on for 6 years, she said. Those gangs have had 6 years to build up their network, to really dig in. We've been in power a year. We've got a whole range of measures. I know people will be disappointed they're not seeing the results yet, but we are confident that we will be able to smash the gangs. There's good work already going on with the National Crime Agency and Border Command, bringing in new counterterrorism powers to go after the gangs, to go after the money, the finances of those gangs. So a whole range of work that's going on." Garraway's co-host Richard Madeley waded in pressing Johnson on the issue. "It's got worse in the first year, talking about the small boat crossings. What is it going to get better?" "Well, we're working as hard as we can to get it better. But I'm not going to fall into what the previous government did. We are working. We're trying very hard to deal with the situation we've inherited. But I can't give you a precise date because that's not how it works with us. We know there are measures that are starting to pay dividends, but it will take a while. Gangs are being smashed. There's work going on with the National Crime Agency. There's a recent operation in Belgium to seize many of these boats and engines that are bringing people across." The morning had barely begun when the Good Morning Britain studio lights flared to life, bathing the set in that warm, inviting glow that hides just how high the tension can get. Kate Garraway sat at the desk, sipping her green tea as she skimmed over the latest headlines. A migrant story dominated the front pages, images of overcrowded small boats in the English Channel, accompanied by political promises that had been made, broken, and made again. Across from her, Labour's newly appointed immigration minister, Daniel Fenton, adjusted his tie. He had the careful smile of a man who had been media-trained within an inch of his life, but there was a stiffness in his shoulders. He knew today wasn't going to be easy. Producers bustled around the set, counting down in the minister's earpiece, while Kate sat back, her mind already sharpening the questions she planned to ask. The migrant debate had been heated for weeks, and she wasn't about to let this politician slide through with vague talking points. 3, 2, 1. The cameras went live. "Good morning," Kate began smoothly. "And joining us now to discuss the government's latest plans to tackle the channel crossings is Labour's immigration minister, Daniel Fenton. Minister, thank you for being here." "Thank you for having me, Kate," he said, smiling for the viewers at home. Kate didn't waste time. Yesterday, the Prime Minister promised to stop the boats by the end of the year. But critics, and some in your own party, say this is a recycled conservative slogan with no real plan behind it. What's the difference this time? Fenton's smile stiffened. "Well, Kate, we're committed to a fair but firm immigration policy that upholds our humanitarian obligations while protecting our borders." Kate cut in, her tone still polite, but her words sharp. "Yes, but Minister, fair but firm is not a plan. How exactly are you stopping the boats?" Because right now, the numbers are going up, not down. There it was, the first crack in his composure. Fenton's eyes darted sideways for a split second, perhaps toward the floor manager, as if hoping for a rescue. We're increasing patrols and working with our European partners. Forgive me, Kate interrupted again, but we've heard that before. Working with partners has been the line for years, and yet hundreds of people are still risking, and losing, their lives making this journey. Can you tell viewers one concrete, measurable action your government will take in the next 30 days? The silence that followed was only 2 seconds long, but in television, 2 seconds can feel like an eternity. Fenton swallowed. We are in the process of expanding our processing facilities. Kate raised an eyebrow. Processing facilities that haven't even broken ground yet. Minister with respect, that doesn't stop a single boat tomorrow, next week, or even next month. By now, social media was already lighting up. Viewers were tweeting in real time. Kate's not letting him wriggle out of this one. Fenton's getting grilled. Finally, someone's asking for actual answers. Fenton attempted to regain control. Look, Kate, this is a complex issue. We can't just flip a switch. No one's asking you to flip a switch, Minister, Kate countered, her voice calm but unyielding. They're asking you to have a plan. And this morning, it sounds like you don't. The minister's jaw tightened. He tried pivoting to safe ground, the humanitarian angle. We also have to remember these are vulnerable people fleeing war and persecution. Kate nodded. Yes, and while no one disputes that, you're the one in charge of making sure they don't have to risk their lives crossing in dinghies. That's your job, isn't it? Behind the cameras, a junior press aide for the minister looked as though she might faint. The segment had gone off script, and the minister was clearly floundering. The director whispered into Kate's earpiece, 2 minutes left, heap the pressure. Kate leaned in slightly, her tone softening but still laser-focused. Minister, I think the British public wants to believe you. They want to know there's a solution that is both compassionate and effective. But if you can't tell them exactly what that is, live on air, then why should they believe this isn't just another empty promise? Fenton's hands, clasped on the desk, shifted slightly as he looked for a lifeline. We have measures in place, Kate. Which are? He hesitated again. Increased bilateral agreements with France, investment in faster asylum decisions. Kate jumped in. Faster decisions that, according to your own department's figures, still take an average of 12 months. That's not faster for the people waiting. And it's not faster for the communities struggling with the backlog. At that point, Fenton looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Even viewers at home could see the frustration flicker in his eyes. The segment wrapped moments later, but not before Kate delivered her final line. Minister, we appreciate your time this morning. Perhaps next time you can come back with the specifics the public is asking for. The smile he managed was strained. I'll be happy to. As soon as the cameras cut, Fenton exhaled hard. His aide swooped in, muttering something about gotcha journalism, but Kate simply gathered her papers and thanked the crew. This wasn't her first political clash, and it wouldn't be her last. Behind-the-scenes fallout. By mid-morning, clips of the exchange had gone viral. TikTok users looped Kate's "That's your job, isn't it?" line over dramatic music. On Twitter, political commentators debated whether she'd been too harsh or simply doing her job. Even rival morning shows replayed the segment, praising the moment as a rare example of accountability in live TV interviews. Inside the Labour Party headquarters, phones were buzzing. Some senior figures praised Kate for exposing a weakness in the government's messaging, warning that Fenton had not been properly briefed. Others accused the program of being overly combative, toward a minister who had only been in the role for 3 weeks. For Kate, it was just another day in journalism, pressing for answers when answers were in short supply. In the makeup room after the show, she brushed off the attention with a laugh. If they don't want hard questions, they shouldn't book the slot. As for Daniel Fenton, he spent the afternoon in damage control mode, giving carefully pre-recorded interviews to friendlier outlets. But the shadow of that morning's clash lingered, especially as opposition MPs seized on the clip, repeating Kate's words in Parliament, "That's your job, isn't it?" By the next morning, opinion polls showed a slight dip in public confidence in the government's handling of immigration. A small dent, perhaps, but in politics, perception is everything. And perception had just shifted. In living rooms across the UK, viewers who had been half asleep during breakfast now remembered the moment Kate Garraway had looked a government minister in the eye, refused to be brushed off, and reminded him, and the country, that vague promises weren't enough. Sometimes all it takes is a question asked at the right time, in the right tone, by the right person. And that morning, Kate Garraway had been exactly that person.